Hi, my name is Lisa Soland and welcome to the Writer's Desk. Today I want to talk a little bit about poetry. This is a book written by Ray Bradbury. It's called Zen in the Art of Writing. It's one of my favorite motivational books, and I wanted to read a little bit to you from page 39. Read poetry every day of your life. Poetry is good because it flexes muscles you don't use often enough. Poetry expands the senses and keeps them in prime condition. It keeps you aware of your nose, your eye, your ear, your tongue, your hand, and above all, poetry is compacted metaphor or simile. Such metaphors like Japanese paper flowers may expand outward into gigantic shapes. Ideas lie everywhere through the poetry books, yet how rarely have I heard short story teachers recommending them for browsing. Okay, I like this book so much that I have two of them, so in case I run into any writer friends who need a good kick in the pants, I lend them a book of Ray Bradbury's Zen in the Art of Writing. So today I would like to read to you, and it was difficult to choose. I'd like to read one poem from a new poetry book that is out by Sue Weaver Dunlap. The title of the book, it's a chapbook, it's called The Story Tender. Now again, there are a plethora of really good poems in this book, but there's one in particular that kind of got my thoughts moving, which is what Ray Bradbury talked about and why he advises us to read a poem a day. So this is the poem that I'm reading for today. It's on Sue's page 4, and it's called Button Box. Okay, let's listen to the words here and see what images come to mind as you hear the order of the words that she's chosen. Mama collected family secrets like the buttons she found and kept in the dented red cake tin, its lid holding tight, a chore to open. Buttons fell from our shirts and dresses, pants and coats, damaged from play or the vigor of the wringer washing machine, fractured. Our secrets were sometimes cumbersome and dark, 4 eyes crisscrossed with heavy thread, knotted, secured, held fast on the fabric. Affairs to hide in Mama's things, taken out and examined in secret whispers. A marriage mended, held secure until the thread wore thin. Parties to share, rhinestones cupped in black casings, their places tenuous, a sliver of thread, their only attachment, excitement fleeting. Babies hidden away, pink and blue pearls, no way to hold them safe. Their secrets so deep, precious, hurtful, no one to pry their lids open. Mama collected these secrets, buttons still stored in her battered tin. I shake it now and again. Buttons clank and fret out of harm's way. Don't you love that? Mama collected these secrets, buttons still stored in her battered tin. I shake it now and again. Buttons clank and fret out of harm's way. Just lovely, really lovely. Affairs to hide in Mama's things, taken out and examined in secret whispers. A marriage mended, held secure until the thread wore thin. You've got to love that. I really recommend this book. It's good to read poetry, a poem a day. Now, when I read that poem, immediately I think about my own sewing basket. And I have had this little plastic thing filled with pins. Now pins make a little bit of a different sound. It's a lighter sound. Of course it's in plastic and not a tin. And then I've got this little tape measure which I used to use quite often when I was younger, and now I don't. But I've fastened it with a little a wire thing from a bread. You know, it's just interesting, these things and what they trigger, especially when we've had them a long time. And then I had this pin cushion with these pins that I pulled out. You know, thoughts of my sewing basket, which, by the way, my new book coming out, The Unmade Moose, is about a moose that is left in a sewing basket. Now, my buttons I keep in a span tin with the cover, and the poem makes me want to look at these buttons. And I remember the dress. I remember this button right here used to belong to one of my favorite jackets of all time, and eventually the thing sort of fell off of me. And this button right here belonged to one of my favorite sweaters given to me by my mother and father-in-law. It was a purple sweater, and I loved that sweater. I wore it till it fell off, but instead of giving these clothes away, which were worn out, I cut off the buttons and I put them in my button tin. So see, there's a lot that can be triggered in a writer's mind, a lot of thoughts, a lot of scenes come to mind when I read that poem by Susan Dunlap. She's a friend of mine, and I'm really proud of her with this wonderful book of poems. The publisher is finishinglinepress.com. The memories that it triggers within your own heart and mind and soul when you read. This is what artists do for us. They help us to think the thoughts that we can't get a hold of on our own. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this, and I hope that you writers out there, it motivates you to read some of your own poetry, write a poem every now and then, whether you're a poet or not. These things don't have to be good, but oftentimes when you have a little courage and you write, it can lead to bigger and even better things. Thank you, and I hope that you've enjoyed this episode of The Writer's Desk.